Started. Now remember, we are reviewing nouns. A noun is, oh, sorry, what is a noun? A noun is the name of a person, place, thing, or idea that support things that a noun is. We discussed person and place on yesterday. We discussed the common and proper of that as well on yesterday. Today we are going to move on to things and ideas. We'll cover those last two parts of a noun. But before we get to that, I want to practice the definition. Okay, so let's go ahead and write it up here. So Asa, what's the first word whenever I am giving the definition of a noun? What do I say?
A noun.
Okay. What will be the next word? So you're all gonna finish it for me. All right, Asa, next. Oh, sorry. No, it's Micah. My bad. You're after him. Sorry. All right, Asa, next part. So we have a noun is the name of a person, place. What's next?
Thing.
Thing. Or, okay, Brayley, come put our last part. All right, good. So now what we're gonna do is I want you to come and list some ideas so they can be. So remember, there's two different types of ideas. Does anyone remember? There's and non. Living and non-living. So you can do any one. Today is your guys are doing the lesson. I'm just seeing what you know, just like yesterday when you came to the board. Okay, so let's go ahead and start. Who just went? Brayley, okay. Elijah, give us a thing. So guys, have your thing in your mind already, okay? Have it in your mind so when you come up here, you're not thinking, but that you already know what you want to write. So put your thing on number one. Asa, you have your thing? You're thinking of it? You're gonna have to think of two because I have enough for you to come to the board twice. Okay, we have paper. All right, Cairo, give me a thing. If someone writes something that you thought of, just think of something else.
Circle two.
Okay, let me see. 8 pairs. Let's see. Okay, that's 4 pairs, not 8.
Code word. Maybe you can you
Book. Okay, David.
would have to write about.
Your thing.
Living thing? Living thing, not living.
It can be either one. I had said all that already.
Yeah, that was mine.
Okay, are we done? Abaya and Dennis? Not yet? Still drawing 8 pairs? Okay.
I hope nobody got this. I'm done.
Let me see. That's 4 pairs.
Yeah, not. One more thing wrong.
Okay.
Cheetah.
Cheetah. Okay. Kendall.
How many pairs?
8 is right there on the board.
I'm done with this.
Let me see. Okay, good. That is 8 pairs. Okay, Joshua. Okay, that looks like now it's 8.
I thought that was an 8 one.
Give her her stuff.
I was joking. You gonna joke about something?
Give her her stuff, please.
I don't have it. You literally put it in the books that I watched. That was I just told you it was a magic. I think I want to do them pairs.
No, singles. Come on, a thing. Guys, if y'all thought about your thing before you got here, you should be up here just writing.
That one looks like
What's that?
tigers.
Tigers, okay, Micah. Yeah, we're only gonna do 8 because it's taking longer than I thought it would. Put your legs on the table so you can stop shaking it. Okay, a T-Rex, Brayley, a thing. Tree, okay, and then Asa, the last one. What's a thing?
Shirts.
A shirt. Good. All right, good. So that is things. A noun is the name of a person, place, thing, or idea. Yesterday we did person, place. Today we covered thing. We'll do idea tomorrow. We just did that last week. Okay, good job. All right, let's go ahead and move on to your reading. Fun with pets. Yesterday we read about ants and how she found the bun and the ants helped her. Today we'll read about Kate and what she finds. Page 75. Page 75. Okay, page 75, 6 duck eggs. Okay, Brayley, you can come and start us off.
After brother,
Don't ask me that.
6 duck eggs. A man gave Kate 6 duck eggs. His big ducks laid the eggs. Kate had a hen, but not a duck. The hen went to the eggs.
Good. All right, so what is Kate given from the man? What does she give him? What does he give her?
Duck eggs.
Duck eggs, right? Does she have a pet duck though? No, what animal does she have? A hen, not a, well, it is a chicken, but a hen. Okay, so let's see what the hen does. On page 76, Kendall, and then I'll let Cairo go.
I can go after.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can go after baby.
Mm-hmm.
Kate,
Okay. Yeah.
stay on the
Hold on. Go ahead. Start over. Okay.
Kate, let the hen stay on
Barney.
the egg.
Yes.
With the bacon. This is second.
Up, up.
The hen says, look. The hen said, nest on the duck's egg.
Okay, good. So did Kate let her hen sit on the eggs? Yeah, she did, right? And so the hen is sitting on the duck eggs. Now, do you think when they hatch, they'll come out as ducks or hens? Now, what kind of eggs are they again? They're duck eggs, but a hen, now, did you know a duck and a hen are not the same thing? They're both birds, but they're not the same. So now that a hen is sitting on the eggs, do you think a hen will come out or ducks will come out? Let's see. Page 77, Cairo. Go that way. Stop that. Stop that. Stop that. Hold on 1 second, Cairo, because it's so much talking over there on that table. That's amazing. How many chances do I have to give? We're gonna talk to your mom after school today.
Pet.
Page 40.
Hop. Six the
But before we do
came
40,
from
let's
the
look at,
egg.
before we get into the story, let's look at 40
Play
right
in
here.
the
I'll talk
nest.
about that. So we'll be kind of talking about the parts of a story as we go into our story. So the two parts on this page talk about the title and the author. Another word for the name of the story is called the title. That's why I always tell you to read that first. The title tells us what the story is about. The title is always found at the beginning of the story. The author is the person who wrote the story. They're called the author. So look at our story on 41. What's the name of the story? What's the title of our story? Felix and the Grand Tune. And who's the author? Bethany Roberts. That will be a question on your test for those not listening. Okay, page 41. All right, Carson. All right, good. So the eggs end up hatching, and what came out of the eggs? Ducks. Even though a hen sat on them, ducks still came out of the eggs because they were duck eggs. All right, 78. Asa, you can read 78 for us. Yes,
When began to set, he made a flash
okay.
in the sky. Cluck, cluck, went the hen. Quack, quack, went the ducks. Cluck, 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 quack. The hen gave the ducks grain. Peck, 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 went the ducks. The ducks ate and ate and ate.
Okay, good. So they pop out and they're saying cluck, cluck, and quack. Who's saying cluck? The hen. And who's saying quack? The ducks. And they're eating and eating. What did the hen give them to eat? Grain. Good. Grain. Okay. 79, Elijah. All right, good. Thank you, Carson. All right, so we are introduced to Felix the Firefly, and he's a fast bug.
He gave the ducks
Excuse me. Okay. Clem Cricket ends up seeing him as he's going back and forth and he's making his splash, right? And what does Clem Cricket wish he was?
The black duck is Bill.
Firefly. He says all he can do is rub his wings
Will.
and make a noise. So he wished he was fast and could make a flash like the firefly. Okay, 42. Joshua, 42.
He gave the ducks names. The black duck is Bill. The fast duck is Flip. The big duck is Matt.
Okay, so now Kate will name the ducks because they are her pets too. The black one is called Bill, the fast one is Swift, and the big one is Mac. Okay, on 80, let's read the rest of their names. Okay, come on, David. Everybody should be able to read today. This story is kind of long.
The gray duck is what
June.
quack
June.
the soft duck the soft
It's soft, David.
the soft duck is
Okay.
fluff.
So Firefly
The
can make the light. Clem Cricket can make the
last-
sound, and when he starts to make the sound, who was amazed by
duck
it?
is
But Felix
Jack.
Firefly, right? And so he thought it was beautiful to hear. So he goes to the can and he sees someone in there, but who is in there? Juba, right? And he's trying to find that music, that grand tune, not knowing that it was Clem Cricket. Okay, so Clem Cricket wants to be Firefly when Firefly is looking for Clem Cricket because of the beautiful noise that he made. Okay, 43. Bye-bye, 43. Okay, so the rest of the ducks' name, the gray one is Quack Quack, the soft one is Fluff, and the last one is Jake. Okay, 81. Okay, Micah, 81. 7, I'll let you do 82.
Went the 6 ducks.
Shown.
Let's wade. Let's wade in the lake. Let's play. Stop. Went the pig. Cluck, cluck, cluck. But the ducks did not stop. The 6 ducks ran to the lake.
Okay, good. So quack, quack, quack. The ducks are saying quack a lot. Where do they want to go now to play? In the lake, right? Who was trying to stop them? The hen. It's a hen. The hen was trying to stop them. Did the ducks stop? Nope, they kept on going. But they're ducks, so that's what they do. That's where they live. Okay, 82. 7.
I know it's wrong.
Okay, good. So Felix could not find the grand tune. He was looking everywhere. So what does he decide to do? He goes in the sky to shine what? His light. No, to shine his light. Because he's like, maybe I'll see it if I'm higher up. And my light is shining. I can see who's making the grand tune. So then he finds a hole. He goes in the hole, but then he hears a different sound. And it was the sound of a snake. Who was that?
Bell.
Or what was it? Snake. Okay, 44.
In
I'll let you do 45 and I have 44.
in in
Felix fell
wind
the hole so
Bill
fast that he ran
in
into Clam Cricket.
west
They both fell
fell
with a thump.
Swift. Look at your special sound.
with
And
Swift
Felix by
in
five,
this is our names.
Yep.
that
What was his name? This is the name.
In went.
Firefly,
In went met
Mm-hmm.
and Shine.
in went
Felix
she
said,
cute.
Look at your vowels. Your vowel A.
but I need
It
to
says A.
find a tune.
Take
A.
It wasn't near the tent
wet
or the
wet
stone.
in
Where can
what's it again?
Went.
Went fell
FL says pull.
play below
Up.
below in
Okay. So we see the snake. What does he hurry up to do?
what?
he hurries up and
Gets out of there, right? He runs away. Right? And as he's running out, he runs into who? He bumps into who?
he bumps
All right,
into
that's good. Clam Cricket.
Clam Cricket.
Right? And they both fly, like they both, fall down. Okay? And so when Clem sees him, Clem says, "You're the firefly." He says, "I have seen your flash and shine." And Felix is like, "Oh yes, but I need to find the tune." He's looking for the tune. So let's read what Clem says on 45. Okay, so they all jump in the lake. Okay, 83. Somebody who did not go. You went? You read? No, I don't think you did. 83. Come on.
He did right.
Okay, 83.
Stop. Clam rub his back
The duck swam and swam.
for case to play with the tune.
Duck
Let
fun.
begin.
It is like God made
Black.
us.
With joy. Yeah.
Okay.
The
So the ducks went in. Kate's 6 ducks went in there, and they're having so much fun in the pond. But that is because that's where ducks really live. I mean, they're ducks, and so that's where they live. Although the hens sat on the eggs, they weren't going to turn into hens. They are still ducks. Okay. All right, good. So that's our story of the 6 duck eggs that Kate was given by the man. All right, let's go ahead and move on to our science lesson this week. We are on page 20 in our science book, page 20. All right, so page 20. So remember, guys, we are talking about the 5 senses in science. So we've talked about our first sense, which was our eyes that give us sight. We talked about how the eyes work and how God made our eyes with the eyelashes, our eyelids. Then we went on to our ears. We talked about how our ears help us to hear. It gives us a sense of hearing, and how God created the ear. Right, when sound goes out, the air shakes. The shaking air then shakes our eardrum. Then it sends a message to our brain to let us know what we are hearing. So let's look on page 20. We'll go to our third sense this week. All right, so we are going to talk about our nose. But the sense that we get from our nose is the sense of smell. So we are able to smell things because of our nose, okay? So that's why if someone is baking something, we can smell it. We'll say, it smells like chocolate. Or if someone is pouring orange juice, we may say it smells like, or I'm sorry, peeling an orange, we may say it smells like an orange. We are able to smell because of our nose. Our nose gives us the sense of smell. Okay, so let's read on 20. My mother just made a chocolate cake. I did not see it, but I can tell. Do you know how? My nose told me. The holes in our nose, everybody has 2 holes in their nose. The holes in our nose are called our nostrils. With our nostrils, not only can we smell things, but we also can breathe with our nostrils. So that's why you can take a deep breath in and you can breathe on out. Our nose not only helps us to smell things, but our nose also helps us to breathe. Sometimes we may get a cold. Has anyone had a cold before where you were a little stopped up? Well, sometimes whenever we get a cold, our nose is stuffy, but God gave us another way to breathe, and that's through our mouth, right? We can breathe through both our nose and we can breathe through our mouth as well. But the nose has 2 things it can do. It can help us to smell, and it also helps us to breathe as well. Okay, let's look at 21. It is much better to use my nose than my mouth to breathe. It kind of is. It really is. Hair will grow in our nostrils. Have you ever looked inside of your nose and you saw the nostrils? I mean, the hair. I'm not on that page. The hair in our nostrils, right? We have hair in our nostrils, but the hair has a job. The hair catches dust in the air. So if you remember when we talked about our eyes, we talked about the eyelashes, right? And that's their job to capture dust. Well, the hair in our nose does the same thing. It captures dust to stop the dust from getting inside of our nose. Unfortunately, though, sometimes the dust will get past our hairs, and guess what we do? Sneeze. So when we're sneezing, most of the time we're sneezing because something got inside of our nose that needs to come out. So when we sneeze, we are letting it out of our nose. That is God's way of getting rid of dust and germs, is when we sneeze. So if anything gets past the hairs in our nose, we'll sneeze it on out. So yeah, that's why we sneeze a lot of times, because sometimes something got in our nose that needs to come out. Our nose will start to burn. You know what it feels like when you're about to sneeze and you let it on out. So our nose helps us to do 2 things. It helps us to smell and to breathe. We also have hairs in our nose. Those hairs are to protect dust from getting inside of our nose. If dust does, sometimes, because it happens sometimes, if dust does get in our nose, we sneeze it out. Okay? All right, so that is it for science, guys. We're just talking about our nose on this week and how the nose is used for smelling and breathing. And that's our third sense, the sense of smell from our nose. Okay? Yeah? All right, good job. So that's it for science. Let's go on to our social studies. We'll talk about a group of people that came here to America. This is yours from lunch.
Oh, thanks.
Page 20 as well. No, you can throw it in the trash. Page 20 in our social studies. Okay, so page 20. Mm-hmm.
Brave people of America.
All right, so page 20 in your social studies. So we finished our lesson on the symbols in America. Remember, we talked about all the different symbols that we could find in our country and how all of those symbols mean something. Last week, we discussed the Statue of Liberty, the Liberty Bell, and our coins. So this week, we are moving on to our next section of our book where we will talk about people in America, people who are important in our country. So we're going to look at page 20. The first group of people we will talk about are the Pilgrims. Okay? Excuse me. The Pilgrims became great Americans in the 1600. They lived in England. So the Pilgrims came to America, but let's talk about why they came to America. In England, the people wanted to worship God. But the king of England decided that he wanted everyone to worship the way that he did, and he wanted everyone to go to his church. He said, everyone must go to my church. You did not have a choice. But there was a group of people who did not agree with the king. These people wanted to worship God their own way, which is the way that the Bible tells them to worship God, and that is the way they wanted to worship. So these people, they didn't want to do what the king told them to do. They wanted to do it the way that God told them to do it. The problem is they wouldn't have been able to do it in England because of what the king had told them. So this group of people decided we should find us a new country where we can worship God the right way. So they decided they went to Holland at first. After they left Holland, they decided, okay, that place is not going to work. Let's cross the Atlantic Ocean, and let's go to America. They were like, that would be a great place for us to go where we could probably worship God the way that we want. Okay? So their king told them to worship his way. They said, no, we want to worship God's way. So they decided to leave and come to America. They got on this ship called the Mayflower. That's the name of the ship they traveled on. They got on the ship, the Mayflower. They traveled all the way across the Pacific Ocean and they came to America. And these people are called the Pilgrims. And that's because a pilgrim travels from place to place. That's what pilgrims do. They travel from place to place. So they left England and now they're coming to America. So that's an example of traveling from place to place. So these pilgrims decided to come to America where they would be able to freely worship God in the way that they wanted to. Now, this journey was not easy at all. It was not an easy journey, right? They had a lot of things that they faced as they crossed over to come to this side of the world. Okay? When they traveled and when they arrived here, it was during the winter. Now, if you don't know, things don't grow in the winter time, right? Everything usually grows in the spring and the summer, and some things grow in the fall, but a lot of things do not grow in the winter. So when they got here, guess what they didn't have? Food. There was little to no food when they got here, and unfortunately, a lot of them became sick. A lot of them became sick, and a lot of them died because they got sick, they were starving, they were hungry, and some of them unfortunately died. Why you didn't do the bottom part, number 2? Use some of the compound words to make sentences. Okay? So as they were here in America, as they were trying to figure out what to do, they ended up meeting some Native Americans. Now, the Native Americans were the people that were here first. They had been in America already. So when they met the Native Americans, they decided to become friends with them. The Native Americans would then show them how to plant corn. In particular, there was one Native American named Squanto. Please stay on the page I'm on. Thank you. There was one Native American called Squanto. Squanto was the one who showed them how to plant corn and how to make food, right? And it wasn't just corn. He taught them how to plant pumpkin and also squash as well. He taught them how to plant these things so that they would have food. So when the fall, so next year, whenever the winter came, fall and winter came, guess what they had this time? Food. Because Squanto had taught them how to plant things. So when the next time came around, when the next winter came, they were more prepared this time and they were happy because now they had food. Okay? The people weren't sick anymore. People didn't die. People didn't die. Instead, they were all alive. So they decided to give thanks to God because of how God had kept them safe and how God had protected them. So they decided to set a day aside to worship God. 37. They decided to worship God. Let's talk about that on 22. Let's talk about that day that they set aside to worship God. Okay. So that day that they set aside to worship God is called Thanksgiving. Okay, do y'all know what Thanksgiving is? Yep, Thanksgiving is usually celebrated in November. That's usually whenever Thanksgiving is celebrated. So they decided to set aside a day where they would give thanks to God. That's why it's called Thanksgiving. The very first Thanksgiving was in 1621. The Pilgrims and the Native Americans got together, they ate their food and played games for 3 days, and they thanked God for his goodness to them. So Thanksgiving is still celebrated today. It's usually the 4th Thursday in November every single year. So next month in November, we'll be off of school a whole week in honor of Thanksgiving. And it's still celebrated to this day. Okay? So Thanksgiving, that's where the holiday Thanksgiving comes from. It comes from whenever the Pilgrims decided to set us a day of thanks aside. They just kept the tradition and eventually it became a part of the holidays in America. And that's where Thanksgiving comes from. And that's why it's called Thanksgiving. It's a day that you set aside to give thanks to God. So the Pilgrims were thankful because when they had first arrived in America, things were not too good. A lot of their people got sick and died. But they did this because after they met Squanto, things got a lot better for them, right? Squanto taught them how to plant things. So the next winter, they were able to have food. So that's when they decided we will go ahead and celebrate and give thanks to God. So they had that day called Thanksgiving. Okay. So these are the Pilgrims. They were from England, but they decided to come to America because they did not want to worship the king's God. I am not on that page. They decided to worship the king. They did not want to worship the way the king wanted them to. They wanted to worship God the way the Bible told them to. So they got on the Mayflower, traveled to America. It was not easy when they got here. A lot of them were sick and died. But when they met Squanto, the Native American, he helped them to plant things, and now they had food. They set a special day aside to give thanks to God, and that day is called Thanksgiving. Okay? All right, so that's our social studies lesson this week on the Pilgrims. We'll talk about it some more on tomorrow. We'll cover more of the lesson on tomorrow as well. Okay. All right, guys. So that is it. That covers all of our lessons for today. We did science, social studies, language, and reading. Okay, Asa, I'm not sure if you did your workbook pages and everything, but you can complete that after Zoom is over. If not, if you did it already, then great. All right, so guys, have a good day, Asa. I will see you tomorrow morning for Bible. Bye-bye.